The slap landed so hard that Lin knew he heard ringing in her ears before she felt the pain. Half the class gasped. Someone dropped a pen. The classroom door creaked softly from the wind outside, but inside everything became terrifyingly still. Lin Yes' face turned sideways from the force. Her hair fell messily across her cheek. For a few seconds, she couldn't even process what had happened, only the burning sting spreading slowly across her skin, and Shania Hang's voice cold, sharp, filled with disappointment. You've gone too far this time. Linux slowly lifted her head. Across from her stood the boy she had loved since she was 8 years old. The boy she had spent 9 years chasing. The boy who once carried her school bag home when she sprained her ankle. The boy who stole candies from convenience stores just because she casually mentioned liking them. The boy who promised her under summer fireworks, "If anyone bullies you, I'll protect you forever." And now he was standing in front of everyone after slapping her for another girl. Behind him, Sukin was crying weakly on the floor, her wrist red, tears streaming down her delicate face. Like a victim, like an innocent girl hurt by a jealous childhood friend. Lin Yu stared at Shini Hang for a very long time, long enough for her eyes to slowly lose warmth, long enough for something inside her to die completely. "You," one classmate whispered nervously, but Lin Yu ignored everyone. Her gaze never left Shunya Hing's face. "You hit me," she said quietly, the moment the words left her mouth. Chun Ye Hung's fingers twitched, as if reality finally crashed into him. But before guilt could fully form, Sukyen suddenly grabbed his sleeve and cried harder. "Young, don't blame her anymore. Maybe she didn't mean it." That sentence completely destroyed the last thing holding Lin Yu together. Because even now, even after hitting her, Janie Hen's attention was still on Sukyen. Not her. Never her. For the first time in 9 years. Lin Yu felt exhausted, not angry, not heartbroken, just tired. Tired of loving someone who never truly chose her. So instead of crying, she laughed softly, a quiet laugh, almost emotionless. Janaya Hang frowned immediately. "Lin Yu, you know what's funny?" She interrupted calmly. The entire classroom stayed silent. Lin Yu looked at him steadily. "If a stranger misunderstood me, maybe I'd still feel wronged." Her voice was soft, too soft, but you. A painful smile appeared on her lips. "You were the one person who was supposed to know me best." Chani Hong's chest tightened violently. For some reason, panic suddenly spread through him. You don't need to say anything anymore." Her voice remained frighteningly calm. Then she looked down at Sukien. "You won." Sukien froze slightly because Liu's expression wasn't angry. It was detached, completely detached, and somehow that felt much scarier. Liu picked up her bag. Then she walked past Chan Hang without another glance. No tears, no screaming, no explanation, nothing. But somehow that hurt him more than if she had cried. Because deep inside, Chongyong suddenly realized something terrifying. Ling Yu might truly never forgive him. That night, Chan Yahung stood outside Lin Ye's house for almost 2 hours. The lights in her bedroom were on, but she never opened the window, never answered his messages, never replied to his calls. At first, he was annoyed, then frustrated, then uneasy. Finally, at almost midnight, he climbed over the wall into her yard, like he had done hundreds of times since childhood. Usually, Linu would panic and whisper, "You let him. Chun Hang, what if my parents see you?" And he would grin lazily, then tell them their future son-in-law is here. She would blush every single time. But tonight, her curtains remained closed. He knocked softly on the window. "Lin." No response. "You." Still nothing. His heartbeat became increasingly restless. Finally, he pushed the window slightly open. The room was dark, empty. His breathing paused. Then he noticed something strange. The bookshelf half empty. The photos on the wall. Gun. The small cactus he gave her in middle school. Gun too. His stomach suddenly dropped. At that moment, Her mother opened the bedroom door downstairs. Young. He immediately climbed down. Auntie, where's Yu? Her mother looked tired. She's studying at the library. Jan Yang relaxed slightly. Then her mother added quietly, she probably doesn't want to see you right now. The guilt returned instantly. Auntie, I didn't mean to hit her. Then why did you? The question stunned him silent. Because honestly, he didn't know. Everything happened too fast. Sukian crying. Lin Yu looking angry. The accusation. The panic. The frustration from their recent fights. And then that slept. Her mother sighed softly. You know, she said quietly, you can cried for you more times than I can count these past few months. Qin Yihing froze. But today she looked upstairs. She didn't cry at all. For some reason, those words made his chest hurt worse. The next day at school, Linu arrived early, very early, before most students. She quietly moved her desk to the opposite side of the classroom, away from Chu Yihing. When he entered the room, 20 minutes later, he stopped walking immediately. His eyes landed on the empty seat beside him, then slowly moved toward the back corner, where Lin Yu now sat alone, reading like he didn't exist. The classroom atmosphere instantly became awkward. Everyone knew those two had fought, but nobody expected this because, for 9 years, Lin Yu had always been beside Chen Yihang. Always. It had become natural, like the sun rising in the morning, like breathing. Even teachers were used to seeing them together. Now the empty seat beside him suddenly felt glaring. Janie Huang walked toward her immediately. Move back. Lin Yu kept reading. I like it here. You're still angry. She finally looked up, and the coldness in her eyes startled him. If someone slapped you yesterday, would you not be angry? His throat tightened. I already came to your house last night, and I wanted to apologize. Lu nodded slightly. Okay, I heard it. His brows furrowed. That's it. What else do you want? Something about her calmness made him irrationally frustrated because she should have argued with him, should have cried, should have clung to him like before if instead she looked completely done. I said I was sorry and I heard you, Lin Yu, but whether I forgive you or not is my decision. Her voice remained level. Then she lowered her eyes back to the book. Clearly dismissing him, the classroom became painfully quiet. Janie Hang stood there for several seconds before finally walking away stiffly. But for the first time in years, he couldn't focus all day because every few minutes his eyes instinctively searched for Lin Yu, only to find her laughing with other classmates, discussing homework, talking normally, just not with him, not even once. And strangely, that made him more restless than their arguments ever did. Things became worse over the next few weeks. Lin Yu completely cut him out of her life. She stopped waiting after basketball practice, stopped buying breakfast for him, stopped reminding him about homework deadlines, stopped asking whether he ate dinner, stopped looking at him. At first, Shania Hang assumed it was temporary. Lin, you loved him too much. Everyone knew that. Even his friends teased him constantly. Bro, you really went too far this time. She spoiled you for years. If Lin Yu actually gives up on you, you deserve it. He always ignored those comments confidently before because somewhere deep inside, he truly believed Lin Yu would never leave him. But slowly, that confidence started cracking. One rainy evening, basketball practice ended late. Janie Hang walked toward the school gate, instinctively expecting to see Lu waiting there with an umbrella, like always. Instead, the gate was empty. Rain poured heavily. Cold wind swept through the street. Only then did he suddenly remember. She doesn't wait anymore. For some reason, disappointment hit him absurdly hard. His teammate laughed. What? Waiting for your little wife? Jen Yang frowned immediately. She's not my wife. Could have fooled everyone. Another teammate smirked. Honestly, if Lin Yu suddenly dates someone else someday, you'll probably go crazy. Chen Ye Hung scoffed coldly. She won't. But the moment the words left his mouth, he remembered Lin Yu's detached expression recently, and suddenly he wasn't so sure anymore. Meanwhile, Sukchan became increasingly bold, now that Lin Yu stopped interfering. She openly stayed around Shan Yihong constantly. She brought him drinks, sat beside him during lunch, acted weak whenever girls confronted her. One afternoon, she purposely walked into the classroom holding Chunya Hang's jacket. The room instantly buzzed with gossip. Linu glanced up briefly, then continued solving math questions as if she genuinely didn't care. That reaction made Chun Yihang strangely irritated. During lunch break, he cornered her near the staircase. You really don't care anymore. Lin, you looked confused. About what? Sukian. Oh, her expression remained indifferent. You can spend time with whoever you want. Chongyang's jaw tightened. You used to get jealous. Liu almost laughed. You slapped me because of her. Her words hit like knives. You think I'd still embarrass myself after that? John Hung suddenly couldn't breathe properly because for the first time he realized the slap had changed something fundamental between them, something irreversible, and it terrified him more than he wanted to admit. 2 weeks later, the truth exploded. The school's surveillance footage spread secretly among students overnight. Inside the video, Zukian could clearly be seen grabbing her own wrist violently before Lin Yu even entered the classroom, then deliberately falling once she heard footsteps outside. The entire school erupted. By morning, everyone was talking about it. She framed Lin Yu. That's disgusting. She made Shen Yang slap her. No wonder Lin Yu stopped talking to him. Students who once pied Sukian now looked disgusted instead. When Shan Yihang received the video from his teammate, he watched it 3 times in complete silence. Then 4. Then 5. Each replay felt like someone smashing glass into his chest. Because Lin Yu had been innocent, completely innocent, and he didn't trust her even once. He remembered her voice, desperately saying, "You know me." At the time he ignored it. Now, he realized how devastating those words truly were. You know me, meaning you above everyone else should have believed me. But he didn't. His hands started shaking uncontrollably. For the first time in his life, Chan Yong felt genuine panic. Not anxiety, not guilt. Panic, because suddenly he understood that he might have destroyed the one person who loved him most in this world. He ran toward her classroom immediately, but when he arrived, her seat was empty again. She took leave today, someone said carefully. Jan Yang rushed toward her house after school. This time, the gate was locked. No lights inside, no sounds, nothing. His heartbeat became uneven. He knocked repeatedly. Finally, Lin Yu's grandmother opened the door slowly. The old woman looked at him with complicated eyes. "Yeah, where's Yu?" Silence. Then she left. His face turned pale instantly. Wit. She transferred abroad with her parents this afternoon. The world went silent. Junyang genuinely thought he misheard. Transferred. She already completed the paperwork weeks ago. Weeks ago. Mina. She had already decided to leave long before the truth came out. Long before his regret. Long before his apology. No, 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 no. Panic exploded violently in his chest. I need to talk to her. You can't. Why? Because she doesn't want to see you anymore. That sentence destroyed him completely. His voice turned hoarse. She can't just leave. His grandmother sighed sadly. Why not? Chen Yang froze, because suddenly he had no answer. The old woman handed him a small box, quietly. She asked me to give this back to you. Inside were 9 years of memories, movie tickets, photos, birthday letters, matching bracelets, tiny notes, every precious thingling you kept related to him, all returned. At the bottom sat one folded letter. His fingers trembled opening it. Chani Hong, I spent almost half my life loving you. I thought if I stayed beside you long enough, someday you would finally choose me, too. But now I understand something. People who truly care about you will trust you instinctively. You didn't, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life begging someone to believe me. So this is enough. I loved you for 9 years. That's more than enough. Please don't look for me anymore. Lin Yu. By the time he finished reading, tears had already blurred the ink completely. Chan Hung did look for her for years. At first, he thought Lin Yu was simply angry. Then he thought she needed time. Then he thought if he apologized sincerely enough, she would eventually soften. After all, this was Lin Yu, the girl who once waited 3 hours in the rain outside his cram school because he casually mentioned wanting hot soybean milk after class. The girl who memorized his exam schedule better than her own. The girl who forgave him every single time he acted cold or impatient. How could someone like her truly disappear forever? But reality was cruel. Lin Yu had not spoken carelessly in that classroom. When she decided to leave, she really erased him from her life completely. At first, Qian Hing called every number he knew overseas. No answer. He messaged old classmates. Nobody knew anything. Even Tang Mimi, Lin, yes, best friend, refused to help him. One evening, he cornered Tang Mimi outside school. Tell me where she is. Tang Mimi looked at him coldly. You still have the nerve. I just want to talk to her. She doesn't want to talk to you. His jaw tightened. You think I don't know I was wrong. Tang Mimi suddenly laughed angrily. Wrong. Her eyes turned red instantly. You humiliated her in front of the entire class. She loved you for 9 years. You were the person she trusted most. Every sentence hit harder than expected. She cried every night because of you after Sukian transferred in. Tung. Mimi continued furiously. And even then, she still defended you whenever people said you liked Sukian more. Chen Yang's chest hurt violently. She defended me. Of course she did because Len Yu was stupidly in love with you. Tang Mimi's voice cracked. But do you know what she said after you slapped her? Chun Yang's throat turned dry. Tanji looked directly at him. She said, I finally feel tired. Something shattered inside him, because he knew exactly what kind of person Linux was. She endured quietly, loved quietly, waited quietly. So if even someone like her finally admitted exhaustion, then she must have been hurt beyond repair. Tang Mimi wiped her tears angrily. You know what the worst part is? Jun Ling couldn't speak. She still cried for you before leaving. That sentence completely crushed him because even after everything, Lin Yu still loved him when she left, and he ruined it anyway. The school dealt with Sukon harshly after the surveillance footage spread. Parents demanded explanations. Teachers investigated previous incidents. More lies surfaced quickly. A girl from her old school exposed messages showing Zukian intentionally targeting boys who were emotionally attached elsewhere. She likes taking things from other girls. One message read, especially if the guy already has someone important. Soon, even students who once pied her became disgusted. Girls whispered when she walked by. Boys avoided her. Teachers watched her carefully. One afternoon, Sukian tried approaching Cheney Hang after class. Ihong. He looked at her once, and for the first time since meeting her. She felt genuine fear because his eyes looked terrifying. Cold. Disgusted. You ruined everything. He said hoarsely. Sua Kian panicked immediately. I didn't mean for things to become like this. You lied. She was innocent. You made me hurt her. Every word sounded heavier than the last. Zukian started crying desperately. I just liked it too much. Yung Ying laughed bitterly. Liked me. His eyes turned red. You don't even know what that word means. Because if Sukian truly loved someone, she wouldn't destroy the person they cared about. Only now did he understand. Lin Hu's love had always been sincere, protective, patient, warm, and he treated it like something that would always exist. No matter how badly he behaved. The realization came too late. Sukian eventually transferred schools again. This time, not because she wanted to, but because nobody could tolerate her anymore. Her reputation followed her everywhere afterward. People avoided her, distrusted her, mocked her online once the surveillance footage leaked publicly. It was karma, but somehow none of it made Sa Hang feel better because the person he wanted to apologize to was gone. The months after Lin Yu left became the darkest period of his life. At first, nobody noticed. Young Ye-hing still attended school, still played basketball, still ranked top in exams. From the outside, he looked normal, but slowly, people realized something had changed fundamentally. He stopped smiling, stopped joking around, stopped staying after practice. He became colder than before, quieter, more distant. One evening after training, his teammate suddenly asked carefully, "Did you Lin Yu really break up?" Chen Wai Hong froze slightly because technically they had never even dated, and somehow that hurt. Worst of all, he never officially gave her a title, never confessed properly, never promised her anything clearly. Yet, she loved him for 9 entire years anyway, while he only realized her importance after losing her completely. "She doesn't talk to me anymore," he answered eventually. The teammate sighed. "Honestly, if a girl loved me like that, I'd never let her go." Jen Yang lowered his eyes silently. Too late. The final year of high school passed painfully. Everywhere he looked, memories followed him. The convenience store where Lin Yu used to buy him warm milk during winter mornings. The old library corner where she fell asleep while helping him study. The basketball court fence where she waited after practice. Even the rooftop where she once confessed at 16. He remembered that day clearly now. The sunset had painted the sky orange. Lin Yu stood nervously in front of him, holding 2 canned sodas. Her ears were completely red. "Chuni Hinem, if someday you like someone else." She paused shakily. "Can you reject me gently?" At the time, he laughed lazily. "Why would I like someone else?" Her eyes widened slightly. Then hope slowly appeared. "And besides," he added casually, flicking her forehead, "you're annoying enough already." She chased him angrily afterward. But later that evening, he secretly smiled, remembering her happy expression. Back then, he thought there would always be time. Time to figure out his feelings. Time to answer her properly. Time to keep her beside him. Now he understood the cruelest lesson adulthood teaches people. Love does not wait forever. After graduation, Yang entered one of the country's top universities. He became even more popular there. Girls confessed constantly, some gentle, some bold, some beautiful enough to turn heads everywhere. But every relationship attempt ended quickly because none of them were Lu. One ex-girlfriend finally confronted him angrily after 3 months. "Why did you even agree to date me?" Yang stayed silent. The girl laughed bitterly. "You look at me like you're trying to find someone else." His chest tightened immediately because she was right every time someone laughed softly. He remembered Liu every time someone handed him notes. He remembered Liu every time someone waited for him. He remembered Lin Yu. He had spent years taking her love for granted. Now even memories became punishment. At 23, Chen Hong became successful unusually quickly. He entered finance, worked obsessively, rarely slept. People admired him, feared him, envied him. But privately his life was empty. One night, his university friend drank too much and finally asked, "Ye Hang, are you seriously still unable to move on?" John Wai Hung stared silently at the city lights outside the bar. After a long time, he asked quietly, "Have you ever met someone who loved you enough to make you feel fearless?" His friend blinked. "Wit, when Lin Yu was beside me," his voice turned hoarse. "I thought nothing bad could happen because she was always there. No matter how cold he acted, no matter how distant he became, Linux always stayed, and that constancy made him arrogant." His friend sighed softly. "So why didn't you cherish her?" The question hurt because the answer was humiliatingly simple. "I thought I had more time." Meanwhile, overseas, Lin Yu was rebuilding herself slowly. The first year abroad was terrible. Not because she missed China, because she missed him, no matter how decisive she acted. 9 years of love could not disappear overnight. Some nights, she cried silently into her pillow, remembering childhood memories. Sometimes, she unconsciously reached for her phone, wanting to tell Joan Hung something funny, then remembered and stopped herself. Her mother worried constantly. "You don't have to force yourself to be strong. But Lin Yu only shook her head, quietly. If I don't leave completely, I'll go back to him. And she refused to do that. Not because she stopped loving him immediately, but because she finally loved herself. 2. For the first time in years, Ling Yu realized something painful. She had spent nearly her entire youth revolving around someone else's emotions. Whether Chunhing was happy, whether he ate properly, whether he slept enough, whether he needed help. Everything in her life unconsciously centered around him, and somewhere along the way, she forgot herself. So abroad, she slowly changed. She studied hard, learned independence, made new friends, focused on her own dreams. At first, it felt lonely, then freeing. Years later, Tang Mimi Video called her one evening. You know, Chen Ye Hung still hasn't dated seriously. Lin Yu paused briefly while organizing documents, then continued calmly. Oh, Tang Mimi blinked. That's your reaction. What else should my reaction be? He's been looking for you for years. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Mimi H. If someone breaks a vase, completely. She looked outside quietly. Does regretting it restore the cracks? Tang Mimi suddenly fell silent because she understood immediately. Lin Yu had forgiven the pain, but forgiveness did not mean reversal. Some things simply could not return to what they were before, especially trust. When Lin Yu was 26, she met Jiaming, not dramatically, not romantically. They met because she accidentally spilled coffee on his laptop during a conference. I'm so sorry. Jiaming stared at the smoking keyboard silently. Lu nearly died from embarrassment. I'll pay for everything. Unexpectedly, he laughed. A warm, helpless laugh. Well, he sighed. At least now I have an excuse to buy a new one. That was their beginning. Unlike the overwhelming intensity she once felt for Chunhing Hung, her relationship with Jiaming was steady, gentle, safe. He never made her guess his feelings, never made her chase him, never made her doubt her importance. When he liked her, he confessed directly. When he worried, he communicated. When conflicts happened, he solved them patiently instead of withdrawing emotionally. At first, Lin Yu didn't know how to adapt. One rainy evening, Jiaming drove 2 hours just to bring her medicine during a fever. She stared at him blankly after opening the door. You came all the way here. You're sick. That's too much trouble. Jing frowned slightly. How is taking care of my girlfriend Trubby? Lin Yuej suddenly became quiet because for so many years she had been the one caring for others. Receiving care this openly felt unfamiliar. Jiaming noticed her silence immediately. What's wrong? After a long pause, she whispered honestly, I'm not used to someone choosing me so naturally. His expression softened instantly. Then he gently pulled her into his arms. Lin, you, he said, quietly beside her hair. Love is supposed to feel safe. And that sentence almost made her cry for the first time in her life. Lin, you finally understood what people meant when they said love should not feel exhausting. With Chongya, she had spent 9 years constantly watching his moods. If he looked tired, she worried. If he sounded cold, she wondered whether she did something wrong. If another girl approached him, she quietly swallowed insecurity while pretending to smile. Even when she was happy, part of her remained anxious because deep down she always knew one painful truth. Janie Hung never loved her with the same certainty she loved him, but Jiaming was different. He made decisions clearly, openly, without making her guess. If he missed her, he said it. If he was upset, he explained it. If he loved her, he showed it every single day. Slowly, Lin, yes, guarded heart, softened again. Not because Jiaming forced his way in, but because he patiently waited outside her walls until she opened the door herself. One winter night, heavy snow covered the city outside. Lin Yu sat wrapped Blankets on her apartment sofa while reviewing documents for work. Jiaming walked out from the kitchen, carrying 2 bowls of noodles. You skipped dinner again. Liu looked guilty immediately. I was busy. You always say that. He placed the bowl in front of her before sitting beside her naturally. Steam rose warmly between them. Liu stared quietly for a moment, then suddenly asked, "Why are you so nice to me?" Juju jamming blinked. "What kind of question is that? You spoil me too much." He laughed softly. "You think this is spoiling?" "Yes. You really have low standards." Linux froze slightly. Shu Jaming immediately realized he accidentally touched something sensitive. He put down his chopsticks gently. "You." She lowered her eyes. "In the past, I was always the one giving more. Not because," Xingyang asked, "but because she loved him instinctively. And when someone spends too many years loving alone, they start believing receiving less is normal." Ju Jaming looked at her quietly for several seconds. Then he reached over and held her cold fingers carefully. "You know what I think? I think someone failed you badly." Her chest tightened instantly because somehow he was right. Juju Jang brushed her hair behind her ears softly. "But that's not your fault." Lin Yu suddenly felt tears sting her eyes unexpectedly. Not because she was still heartbroken over Chanyang, but because healing after him had been so lonely. Nobody really understood how much that slap destroyed her. It wasn't only physical pain. It was what the slap represented. Distrust, humiliation, abandonment, the realization that the person she loved most would choose another girl's tears over her entire character. Jude Jaming gently squeezed her hand. "You don't have to earn love by suffering," he said quietly. That sentence stayed in Lin Yes' heart for a very long time. Meanwhile, back in China, Chanya Hang still could not move on. At 29, he already had everything people envied: money, status, success, women who openly pursued him. But privately, his apartment remained cold and silent every night. One evening, his mother finally confronted him during dinner. "Are you planning to stay alone forever?" Jan Young kept eating silently. "You're almost 30. Still silence." His mother sighed heavily. "You're still thinking about you, aren't you?" His chopsticks paused slightly. That tiny movement already gave the answer away. His mother's expression became complicated. Honestly, she'd still liked Lin Yu more than anyone else. That girl had practically grown up in their house. Polite, warm, thoughtful. Every holiday, Lin Yu prepared gifts carefully for both families. When Shania Hang got sick during high school, she stayed awake all night helping his mother take care of him. Back then, even she assumed they would marry eventually. Nobody expected things to end so disastrously. His mother looked at him sadly. "You know, after you left, Auntie Lin cried many times." Chen Hang's fingers tightened unconsciously. She said, "You stopped talking about you completely." That hurt worse somehow, because trade at least meant emotional attachment remained. But Lin Yu chose indifference instead, like he no longer mattered enough to mention. His mother hesitated briefly before continuing softly. "The last time I saw her before she left." John Hing slowly lifted his eyes. "She looked at me and apologized." His breathing stopped. "She said sorry because she couldn't continue liking you anymore." The spoon slipped from Chong Yang's hand. Clang! The sound echoed sharply across the dining room. His mother's eyes turned red. "Too. That child loved you so much." For years, people envied Sienna Hen because of Lin Yu. A girl willing to love so wholeheartedly was rare. But humans were strange. We often only realize the value of something after destroying it ourselves. 3 years later, Jun Yang accidentally encountered Tong Mimi at a business dinner. She almost turned around immediately upon seeing him, but he blocked her path. "Wait." Tong Mi frowned. "What?" His voice turned slightly. "How is she?" Tanji instantly knew who he meant. "She's doing well." "Where is she now?" "Abroad." "Still." Tang Mimi crossed her arms coldly. "Why you planning to disturb her again?" "I just want to know if she's happy." Tang Mimi stared at him for several long seconds, then finally answered honestly, "Yes." That single word stabbed directly into his chest. "She smiles a lot now." Tanji continued bluntly, "Much more than before." Jing Hun lowered his gaze quietly because he knew exactly what that implied. Lin, you had not been truly happy with him. Or perhaps she had been happy but also tired. An exhausting kind of love. Tang Mimi suddenly sighed. You know, after leaving China, she changed completely. How? She stopped revolving around someone else. The sentence hit painfully accurately. Tang Mimi's eyes sharpened slightly. Back then, Linu's entire world was you. She planned her future around you. Her emotions depended on you. But now a small smile appeared. She finally lives for herself. For some reason, hearing that made Suanya Hung both relieved and devastated simultaneously, because he always wanted Lu to be happy. But he was no longer part of that happiness. At 30, Jij Jaming proposed. It happened quietly at home. No giant public event. No dramatic fireworks. That evening, Lin, you came home exhausted after work only to smell food from the kitchen. She blinked in surprise. Ah, jamming in here. She walked toward the dining table slowly, then stopped. The entire apartment glowed warmly under soft lights. Simple dishes filled the table, all her favorites. Zhu Jiaming stood nearby, looking slightly nervous, which was unusual for him. Lin Yu laughed softly. What are you doing? Zhou Jiaming stared at her for several seconds before speaking. Lin Yu, her heartbeat suddenly quickened. I know your past hurt you deeply. Her smile faded slightly. But I also know you're one of the bravest people I've ever met. His voice was steady. You still chose to trust love again, even after being disappointed. Lin Yes' eyes slowly turned red. Zhu Jmeng walked closer carefully. I can't erase your past, but I promise. He took out a ring quietly. I'll never make you question whether you're loved. Tears instantly filled her eyes. Not because the proposal was flashy, but because every word he said carried sincerity, safety, certainty, everything she once begged for silently from someone else. Suja's eyes softened, so a small smile appeared. Will you marry me? Lin Yu suddenly cried and laughed at the same time, then nodded repeatedly. Yes. The moment Jujuing hugged her tightly, she realized something important. She no longer loved Chan Ye Hung, not even secretly, because the opposite of love was not hatred. It was peace, and thinking about Chanya now no longer hurt her heart. A year after marriage, Lin Yu became pregnant. Xu Jiang nearly lost his mind from happiness. At first, he stared blankly at the pregnancy test for almost a full minute. Then, we're having a baby. Lin Yu burst out laughing. Yes. Su Jiaming immediately knelt beside her dramatically. Oh my God. He carefully touched her stomach like she might break. Liu laughed harder. It's still tiny. That's my daughter. What if it's a boy? Impossible. You don't even know yet. Zhu Jmeng looked deadly serious. It's definitely a daughter. His excitement made the pregnancy process much easier for Lin Yu. He attended every appointment, read parenting books obsessively, panicked over every tiny. One night, Lin Yu woke up thirsty at 2:00 a.m. Before she could even stand up, Zhuing sat upright instantly. What happened? I just want water. I'll get it. You don't have to wake up. Too late. He already rushed toward the kitchen, half asleep. Liu watched him helplessly, then suddenly remembered another night long ago. High school. Heavy rain. She had waited outside Janying's basketball practice, carrying an umbrella and warm milk for over an hour. When he finally came out, he frowned immediately. You're still here. You said you forgot your umbrella. You should have gone home first. At the time, she thought waiting for him was natural. Now, years later, she finally understood something heartbreaking. Love should go both ways, not one person endlessly giving while the other merely receives. Zhu Jiaming returned with water carefully. Too cold. No. You hungry? No. You sure? Lin Yu suddenly smiled, then wrapped her arms around his waist tightly. Jejming blinked. What's wrong? After a long pause, she whispered softly, nothing, just gratitude. Gratitude that life eventually gave her a love that felt gentle instead of painful. And then came the reunion. The reunion that completely shattered whatever remained inside Shenyang forever. The business banquet in Shanghai was held on the top floor of a luxury hotel overlooking the river. Everything glittered: crystal chandeliers, expensive wine, polished marble floors, soft classical music floating through the air. Normally, Chi Hung hated these events. Too noisy, too fake, too many people pretending to admire each other. He only attended because his business partner insisted. If you skip again, people will think you're dead. Jun Yang barely reacted. At 31, he had already become someone others feared in the industry. Cold, sharp, untouchable. Employees admired him professionally, but avoided him personally. Even his friends complained that he looked emotionally dead most of the time. But Chan Yang no longer cared because somewhere along the years, exhaustion became permanent, especially after failing to find Ling Yu again and again. At some point, he stopped actively searching, not because he gave up, but because he finally understood she truly did not want to be found. Still, sometimes late at night, he would unconsciously open old photos on his phone. A blurry picture of 16-year-old Lin Yu sleeping on a library desk. A video of her yelling after losing at arcade basketball. A candid photo where she smiled at him so brightly it almost hurt to look at now. And every single time the same thought tortured him. How could someone love me that much? And how did I lose her so completely? That evening, he arrived late to the banquet. People greeted him immediately. President Jun. Long time no see. Congratulations on the new acquisition. He responded mechanically, half listening, half distracted. Then suddenly, someone laughed softly nearby. A familiar laugh. Warm, gentle, light. Chan Yihong froze instantly. His body reacted before his brain could process why. Slowly, he turned around and saw her. Lin Yu standing beneath the golden chandelier lights in a cream-colored dress. Older than before, more elegant, more mature, but still unmistakably her. Time seemed to stop. The entire ballroom noise faded into meaningless static. For one terrifying second, Chan Yang genuinely forgot how to breathe. After 11 years, he found her again. No, not found, because the truth was cruel. Lux had never belonged to him enough to be found. She simply appeared again, and the moment his eyes landed on her, every suppressed emotion from the past decade came crashing back violently. Regret, longing, pain, love. His chest hurt so badly he almost couldn't stand properly. Meanwhile, Lin Yu was speaking calmly with foreign clients, completely unaware of him. Or perhaps she simply hadn't noticed him yet. Janie Heng stared at her almost greedily, as if afraid she would disappear again the moment he blinked. She looked healthy, happy, relaxed. Nothing like the exhausted girl who left years ago after crying herself to sleep night after night. Then his gaze slowly dropped and the world shattered. Her hand rested lightly against a visible baby bump. Not large, but unmistakable. Pregnant. Janie Heng's face instantly lost color. For several seconds, his mind went completely blank. Pregnant. Lin Yu was pregnant. His heartbeat became chaotic. Something sharp twisted violently inside his chest. He had imagined meeting her again thousands of times over the years. Maybe she would hate him, maybe ignore him, maybe finally let him apologize. But never, never this. Not with another man's child. The realization hit brutally. Lin Yu had truly built an entire life without him. A complete life. A happy one. And there was no place for him in it anymore. His throat tightened painfully. Still, his feet moved toward her uncontrollably. One step, then another, until he finally stood only a few meters away. Close enough to hear her voice clearly. Close enough to smell the faint familiar perfume he once secretly loved. During high school, Lin knew. The name escaped almost like a broken whisper. She turned slowly. Their eyes met, and unlike him, she showed no shock, no trembling, no emotional collapse, no panic, only brief recognition. Then calm politeness. Long time no see. she said softly. That calmness destroyed him more than hatred ever could, because it meant she was truly over him, completely. Janie Hing stared at her silently. He wanted to say so many things. I'm sorry. I missed you. I looked for you everywhere. I regret everything. I never stopped loving you. But under her composed gaze, none of the words could leave his mouth. Meanwhile, Lin Yu remained calm, too calm, as if they were merely former classmates unexpectedly crossing paths. Not two people tied together by almost half a lifetime of memories. You came back, he finally asked hoarsely, for work temporarily. Her tone remained polite but distant. No warmth, no softness, nothing resembling the girl who once looked at him like he was her entire world. The distance between them suddenly felt impossible to cross. Then another voice interrupted gently behind her. You. Jun Weihong's entire body stiffened. A tall man walked toward them, carrying a glass of warm juice carefully. His features were refined and gentle, not aggressively handsome, but steady, the type of man people instinctively trusted. Juj Jang. The moment he approached, Lin Yes' expression softened visibly, not dramatically, just naturally, and somehow that hurt worst of all because Chan Yang remembered spending years trying to make her smile like that. Yet this man seemed to receive it effortlessly. Jiaming draped his suit jacket over her shoulders immediately. The air conditioning's too cold. Lin Yu smiled faintly. I'm okay. You said that earlier, too. His voice carried quiet concern. Then his hand settled protectively around her waist. Natural, intimate, practiced. Clearly the habit of someone who loved and cared for her daily. Only then did Chu Jang notice Chan Yihang. Oh, Lin Yu answered before either man could speak. An old classmate, for simple words. Yet they reduced 9 years of desperate love into something insignificant. Janie Hong felt physically sick. Ju Jing extended his hand politely. Jujimin, Yu's husband. Even though Chen Yeheng already suspected it, hearing the word directly still felt like being stabbed. But he forced himself to shake hands anyway. Chen Yehong. Ju Jing nodded politely. I've heard about you. Chen Yeheng froze. Lin Yes' expression shifted slightly. Not panic, just subtle discomfort. What did she say about me? He asked quietly. Juj Jaming looked at him for a moment before answering honestly. That you were someone important during her youth. Important during her youth. Past tense. John Young suddenly wanted to laugh bitterly because once upon a time he had been her entire world. Now he was merely a distant memory, summarized in one sentence. Linu changed the subject, smoothly afterward. How long are you staying in Shanghai? 2 days. We're leaving tomorrow night. Su Jaming answered. The word sounded intimate and warm. Everything Chan Yihong once wanted, but lost permanently. During the short conversation that followed, Chan Yang barely heard anything clearly because his attention stayed, fixed on tiny details, unconsciously. The way Ju Jaming always checked whether Lin Yu looked tired. The way he adjusted her sleeve carefully. The way Lin Yu leaned slightly toward him instinctively. Most painful of all, the way she looked safe beside him. Safe in a way she never looked with Shan Yang. Because back then, loving him always made her anxious. Meanwhile, Juj Jumming made security look effortless. Eventually, another business associate approached them. Ling Yu nodded politely toward Chan Yihang. We'll go first. Just like that. No lingering glance. No emotional hesitation. Nothing. She turned naturally toward her husband, and together they walked away. John Yihang stood frozen, watching their backs disappear into the crowd. His entire chest felt hollow because only now did he fully understand the true consequence of losing Lin Yu. It wasn't simply that she stopped loving him. It was that someday she would love someone else instead. And another man would receive all the tenderness, loyalty, patience, and warmth that once belonged entirely to him. The realization nearly crushed him. That night, Myung got drunk alone for the first time in years. Not socially drunk, not lightly tipsy, actually drunk. His assistant found him, sitting silently in the dark hotel suite hours later. Several empty bottles scattered nearby. President Chun. No response. The assistant hesitated nervously, then heard Tien Ihong laugh softly. A broken sound. Did you know? He muttered hoarsely. She used to follow me everywhere. The assistant froze awkwardly. In high school, Jean Y. Hong stared blankly ahead. She waited outside basketball practice every day. If I forgot breakfast, she bought it. If I got sick, she skipped class to take care of me. His voice slowly cracked. She loved me so much. Silence filled the room. Then, finally, the sentence he had carried painfully for over a decade escaped. And I slapped her for another woman. The assistant's chest tightened instantly because the regret in Shunny Hong's voice sounded unbearable, like someone drowning too late to save themselves. John Hong covered his eyes with one hand. She looked at me like I broke her. His breathing became uneven. And the worst part, a bitter smile appeared. She still loved me when she left. That was the punishment. Not that Len Yu hated him, not that she screamed or cursed him, but that she loved him sincerely until the very end while he failed her completely. And now another man was holding the future that should have been his. Another man touched her gently, protected her, loved her correctly. Another man became the father of her child. Meanwhile, Chanya Hung remained alone, trapped forever in the ruins of a love he destroyed with his own hands. The next morning, Janie woke up with a splitting headache and an unbearable heaviness in his chest. For several seconds, he stared blankly at the hotel ceiling. Then the memories from last night returned all at once. Lainu, pregnant, married, happy. The pain hit so sharply that he shut his eyes again immediately. He had spent 11 years imagining reunion after reunion in his mind. Sometimes she cried and forgave him. Sometimes she ignored him coldly. Sometimes he finally confessed everything he failed to say during youth. But never, not even once, did he imagine seeing another man standing beside her naturally like they belonged together. Because deep inside, a selfish part of him still believed Lin Yu's love was something eternal, something reserved only for him. Reality proved otherwise. People eventually move on from pain, even from first love, especially when that first love hurts them deeply enough. Janning sat up slowly. His assistant had already left medicine and water nearby. His phone contained dozens of unread work messages. Normally, he would answer immediately. Today, he couldn't even care. All he could think about was one detail from last night. Linu looked genuinely peaceful, not forcing smiles, not pretending, not waiting anxiously for someone's affection. Peaceful, and somehow that hurt him more than hatred ever could, because it meant she truly healed from him completely. Meanwhile, across the city, Linu was eating breakfast quietly while Jij Jaming cut strawberries for her. You slept badly, he observed calmly. Liu blinked. Was it obvious? You kept turning around all night. He placed the fruit plate closer to her naturally. Still thinking about yesterday, Liu stayed silent briefly, then sighed softly. A little. Du Jimin nodded. Not jealous, not angry, just patient. That alone already made him very different from Chunhing. Years ago, Lin Yu often hid uncomfortable emotions because she feared causing conflict. But Jijing always encouraged honesty instead. So after a moment, she admitted quietly, I thought seeing him again would make me more emotional. And she lowered her eyes slightly. But mostly I just felt sad. Chu Jmang's gaze softened immediately for him. Lin Yu nodded honestly. Yes, not romantic sadness, not lingering love, just sorrow, because once upon a time, Chan Hung had been an important part of her entire youth. She couldn't erase that completely. Zhou Jing reached over and held her hand gently. You don't have to feel guilty about that. Lin Yu looked up. He was someone precious to you once, he said calmly. Pretending otherwise would be fake. Her chest warmed slightly. This was another reason she loved Sujing. He never demanded impossible things from her, never forced her to deny her past. He simply trusted her enough to understand the difference between memory and love. Liu squeezed his hand softly. I'm not shaken because I still love him. I know really. Shu Jaming laughed quietly. You look at me the same way you used to look. Terrified. Lin. You froze. Then embarrassed realization slowly appeared because he was right. Back then, whenever Chong Yu became distant, her entire mood collapsed. But with Judgment, she felt calm, safe, certain. That difference alone already answered everything. Ju Jiaming kissed her forehead lightly. Then there's nothing to worry about. Lu smiled softly afterward, yet deep inside, another emotion lingered quietly. Closure. Seeing Chong again made her realize how much she truly changed. Years ago, just hearing another girl call his name sweetly could ruin her entire day. Yesterday, she watched him stand there looking shattered, and her heart remained steady. No hatred, no lingering obsession, only acceptance. And perhaps that was the clearest sign she had finally moved on completely. Unfortunately for Cheney Hang, moving on was impossible. That afternoon, he found himself standing outside the cafe where Lin Yu had a meeting scheduled. Even he hated himself a little for it. This behavior was pathetic, intrusive, too late, but after spending 11 years searching for someone, how could he willingly walk away after only one short conversation? So he waited inside the cafe. Lin Yu sat by the window discussing project details with colleagues. Jiaming wasn't there today, probably handling work elsewhere. For a long time, Chen Yang simply watched her silently through the glass. And the longer he watched, the more unbearable his regret became. She still had small habits he remembered. Still stirred drinks absent-mindedly while thinking. Still touched the corner of papers when concentrating. Still smiled gently while listening to others speak. But unlike before, her eyes no longer followed him instinctively. Back then, wherever Shani Hang stood, Lin Yu's attention naturally drifted toward him. Now, she didn't even know he was outside. That realization hurt strangely deeply. Eventually, her meeting ended. Lin Yu walked out slowly while checking messages on her phone, then stopped because Chanyang stood directly ahead. For a second, surprise finally appeared on her face. You're still here. The sentence sounded polite, not emotional, not angry, and somehow that almost felt cruel. Joan Yang stared at her quietly. I wanted to talk to you, as sort of Liu hesitated briefly, then nodded toward a nearby bench. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Once upon a time, she would have given him entire years without hesitation. Now he only received 5 minutes out of politeness. They sat down in silence. Cars passed nearby. Wind moved softly through the trees. For several moments, neither spoke. Finally, Chen Yihong asked hoarsely, Are you happy? Lin Yu looked slightly surprised by the question, then answered honestly, Yes. No hesitation. No uncertainty. Just yes. Jun Yihang's chest tightened violently anyway, because although he already knew, hearing it directly still hurt. After a long pause, he forced himself to continue. Does he treat you well? Liu looked at him strangely. Why are you asking? Because I want to know. Silence. Then slowly a faint smile appeared on her face. Small, soft, real. Yes, she said quietly. Very well. That expression nearly destroyed him because Chen Ye Hang suddenly realized something humiliating. In all the years he knew Lin Yu, he rarely made her smile like this. Not because she didn't love him enough, but because he spent too much time making her anxious instead. Meanwhile, another man achieved this peaceful happiness naturally. The jealousy that rose inside him was ugly and painful, but he had no right to it. None. Still, he couldn't stop himself from asking, Do you love him very much? Liu looked directly at him, and for the first time since reunion, her gaze softened slightly. Yes. One word. Simple. Absolute. It felt like a final death sentence. Jan Young lowered his eyes immediately. For a moment, neither spoke again. Then suddenly, Lin Yu said quietly, "You know, after leaving China, I hated you for a while." His breathing stopped. It was the first time I hated someone that much. Her voice remained calm, but eventually I realized something. He looked at her slowly. "I wasn't only angry because you slapped me." Pain flashed across his face instantly. Liu continued softly, "I was angry because even after knowing you for 9 years," her eyes became distant briefly, "you still chose not to trust me." Every word landed heavily between them. Jan Yihang's throat tightened painfully. "I know. No," Linux said quietly. "I don't think you understood back then, because if he truly understood, he would have realized the slap itself was not the deepest wound. Distrust was humiliation, was the realization that the person she loved most thought she was capable of hurting others out of jealousy." Chunyang's voice turned hoarse. "I regretted it immediately." Lin Yu nodded calmly. "I know." His eyes trembled slightly. "You know, Tong Mimi told me silence." Then Liu added quietly, "But regret and damage are different things." That sentence completely shattered whatever remained of his hope, because she was right. Some mistakes leave permanent scars no matter how sincere the apology becomes afterward. Jung Yahung suddenly laughed bitterly under his breath. "You really became much stronger." Lin, you looked at the street ahead. "No." A small smile appeared. "I just finally learned to choose myself." To choose herself. Not not love. Herself. How tragic that he only understood her value after she no longer belonged to him. After another long silence, Shan Yiheng finally asked the question haunting him most. "Back then," his voice almost broke, "when you left, did you still love me?" Lin Yu became quiet. Very quiet. Wind brushed gently through her hair. For a moment, Chan Hing almost wished she would lie. Instead, she answered honestly, "Yes." The single word pierced straight through his chest, because somehow hearing that hurt even more than rejection. Lin Yu lowered her eyes slightly. "I loved you until the very end." Chi Hung felt his vision blurred instantly, but after getting hurt long enough, her voice softened. "Love eventually becomes exhaustion." Tears finally gathered in his eyes despite desperately trying to hold them back. Because that sentence perfectly described everything he lost. He did not lose Lin Yu because she suddenly stopped loving him. He lost her because he exhausted her love completely. And there was nothing more tragic than that. After that conversation, Lin Yu never met Chan Yihang alone again. Not because Ju Jaming forbade it, not because Chanyang stopped trying, but because there was simply no reason anymore. Everything that needed to be said had already been said on that quiet bench beneath the trees. She had loved him. He had hurt her. He regretted it. And life moved forward anyway. That was adulthood. Not every apology repaired what was broken. Not every first love became destiny. Sometimes people simply arrived in each other's lives to teach painful lessons. And perhaps Shan Yu Hang's greatest lesson was this: being loved deeply by someone is not permission to neglect them. The night before leaving Shanghai, Lin Yu stood by the hotel window, watching rain slide slowly across the glass. Behind her, Ju Jaming packed their luggage while humming softly. "Did you take your vitamins?" Liu laughed helplessly. "You already asked twice. I'm asking again. You're becoming more naggy after becoming a father." Ju Jaming looked extremely serious. "Our daughter deserves proper care." "You still think it's a daughter." "It's definitely a daughter." Linu shook her head, smiling. Then suddenly, warm arms wrapped around her waist carefully from behind. Ju Jaming rested his chin lightly on her shoulder. "You okay?" She leaned back into him naturally. "You seem emotional tonight." After a pause, Lin Yu answered honestly, "I think I've finally said goodbye to my past completely." Chu Jiang understood immediately. His embrace tightened slightly. "Does it hurt?" Lin Yu looked outside quietly, then slowly shook her head. "No." and she meant it sincerely. There was no lingering, romantic pain anymore, only gratitude, because if she had not experienced heartbreak so devastatingly back then, perhaps she would never have learned how important it was to be loved properly. Zuja kissed the side of her head softly. Then let's go home tomorrow. Home. The word warmed her heart instantly, not because of a place, but because of the person beside her. Meanwhile, Janie Hang remained standing alone outside the cafe long after Linyu left that day. People passed around him endlessly. Cars moved. Lights changed. The city continued normally. But inside him, everything felt unbearably empty. He kept replaying her words repeatedly. I loved you until the very end. That sentence tortured him most because it meant he was genuinely loved completely once. The kind of love people spend entire lifetimes searching for. Pure, loyal, patient, and he destroyed it with his own hands. Not because she betrayed him, not because she stopped caring, but because he'd failed to cherish her while she was still beside him. How pathetic, how irreversible. That night, Janie Hang sat alone in his apartment, staring at old photographs until sunrise. One picture showed 16-year-old Lin, you grinning brightly while holding 2 ice creams. Another showed her asleep on his shoulder during a bus ride. Another captured her standing cot side during basketball practice, smiling proudly at him in every single photo. Her eyes were filled with him as if he was the center of her universe. Meanwhile, back then, he had been too immature to realize how rare that kind of devotion truly was. Now, those photos felt almost cruel, proof of something beautiful he no longer deserved. At dawn, his phone suddenly rang. His mother. You finally answered. She sighed. Cheney Huang rubbed his tired eyes silently. Then his mother asked gently, Did you see you? He froze briefly. Yes. Silence. Then how is she? For some reason, that question nearly made him cry again, because Linyu was doing wonderfully. That was the painful part. She survived losing him. No more than survived. She became happier afterward. She's married, he said hoarsely. His mother became quiet and pregnant. Another long silence followed. Then, finally, she sighed softly. That child deserves happiness. John Hong shut his eyes painfully. I know. And perhaps that was the cruelest punishment. Not that Linux suffered without him, but that another man succeeded in making her happier than he ever did. Months later, Lin Yu gave birth to a daughter. Xu Jiaming nearly cried harder than the baby. The delivery room was chaotic for hours. Lin Yu exhausted, doctors moving quickly, nurses giving instructions. Meanwhile, Jiaming looked like he was seconds away from collapsing emotionally. Breathe. Sir, I am breathing. You're panicking more than your wife. Finally, a loud cry filled the room. Their daughter was born healthy, beautiful, tiny fingers, soft cheeks, a full head of dark hair. Juju Jaming genuinely burst into tears immediately. Linyu laughed, weakly despite exhaustion. You're crying. That's my daughter. You said that like you still can't believe it. I really can't. The nurse carefully placed the baby into Liu's arms, and the moment she looked down, Liu's eyes instantly became wet because suddenly she understood something overwhelming. Love could be gentle. Family could feel warm. Happiness could feel peaceful instead of painful. Jujiming sat beside her carefully, unable to stop staring at both mother and daughter, then softly whispered, Thank you. Lin Yu blinked tiredly. For what? For choosing me. Her heart softened instantly. Years ago, she spent so much effort trying to make someone choose her. Now, the right person thanked her for choosing him instead. That difference meant everything. 3 months later, Tang Mimi posted a photo online after visiting them abroad. The picture showed Lin, Yu sitting near the window holding her daughter while smiling brightly. Ju Jiaming stood behind her making a ridiculous face at the baby. The caption read, Some girls don't lose when they walk away. They finally win. The post spread unexpectedly among old classmates. Soon, everyone from high school saw it, including Chanhing. He stared at the photo for a very long time. Lin Yu looked radiant, not the fragile girl who once cried secretly over him, not the exhausted teenager constantly chasing someone emotionally unavailable. She looked loved, secure, alive, and her daughter, Yung Yihang's chest twisted painfully looking at the tiny baby in her arms. Because once upon a time he imagined a future with Lin Yu too. A small apartment, arguments over groceries, children running around while she laughed helplessly. Normal things, simple things, things he thought could wait forever. Now another man lived that future instead. Another man heard Lin Yu laugh every morning. Another man came home to her. Another man became the father of her child. Meanwhile, Chun Yang remained alone in a silent apartment filled only with regret. His friend once told him, "If you still can't forget her after this many years, maybe you never will." Back then, he avoided answering. Now he finally understood. Some people become scars that never fully disappear, not because the relationship was perfect, but because the regret was too deep. One winter evening years later, Jen Yehing accidentally passed by a middle school near sunset. Students poured out laughing loudly. Among them, he suddenly saw a familiar scene. A young girl running toward a tall boy holding an umbrella over his head carefully. The boy looked annoyed, but slowed his walking anyway. The girl smiled brightly beside him. For a moment, the image overlapped painfully with memories from long ago. Lin Yu chasing after him through crowded streets. Lin Yu waiting after practice. Lin Yu looking at him like he was everything. Chan Yang stopped walking completely. Cold wind brushed past quietly, and for the first time in years, he allowed himself to admit the full truth. He would never meet another Ling Yu again, because people willing to love someone for 9 years with their whole hearts were incredibly rare, and he had already lost her forever. Not to distance, not to fate, but to his own failure to protect the person who loved him most. The sunset slowly faded across the street. Students disappeared one by one. Eventually, Chen Wai Hong stood alone beneath the dim evening lights, holding on to memories that no longer belonged to him. Somewhere far away, Lin Yu was probably laughing with her husband while their daughter slept peacefully between them. Warm light, soft voices, a happy family, the life she deserved. And Chihang finally understood something too late. The greatest punishment in life is not losing someone who loves you.